Welcome to Sports Talk with RNJ. I'm Steve Risser, along here with Justin and Afrio. And, we got some good matchups in Week 10 of the college football season, but we got to start with what's happened the last 3 weeks. 2 weeks ago, it was James Franklin. Last week, it was Billy Napier. And this week, no surprise at all, it was Brian Kelly after they got destroyed by Texas A&M, 49-25 at home. So Brian Kelly gets fired. And the big question right now is how big of a surprise is this to you, Justin? To me, this wasn't much of a surprise. I think I kind of knew this was going to happen. I think I knew this was kind of going to happen after they lost Saturday night and after playing the way they did and knowing they have no shot to make the college football playoff.
Yeah, I wasn't surprised either. They got whooped. Because I thought that was just mostly Texas A&M just came in there, just whooped them around, and it just shows you 4 years with you had a couple years there with Jaden Daniels, who we've seen at the NFL level look like, was one of the best rookies out there last year. And now you got Garen Musburger, who I know hasn't been healthy much of the year, but like he's still an NFL quarterback, and you couldn't make the playoffs one time with those two quarterbacks, and they don't have much behind them. So if you didn't get there this year, you don't have great confidence that you're going to do it next year. So I'm not surprised by this either. I don't think he's worked as hard in the recruiting trail either than he used to. So it just the fit never worked, and I was surprised that he left Notre Dame to go to LSU, but he just never fit down there.
You're right. The fit just never worked. It never worked. That fake Southern accent coming in, completely fake Southern accent. It never did. He had that good first year. They got to the SEC championship game. He had the good first year, but it pretty much was downhill ever since. It really was just downhill ever since. Yeah, it wasn't like Notre Dame where it was a fit. I feel like Notre Dame was a fit for him. Got to a national championship game. Had a really good 12-year run at Notre Dame. I thought that was a fit. Yeah, this didn't seem like really a fit at all.
No, it didn't. And you go back to his first team, those are all Ed Orgeron guys. Those weren't his guys, too.
Yeah.
And, we talk about the culture, and he just didn't fit. He's not a guy that fits the Southern hospitality. Like he's a Northeastern guy.
He's a Boston guy. He's a Boston guy.
Yeah. He rubs you the wrong way. He's called out the fan base this year. He said they were spoiled. Well, they won 3 national championships with 3 different coaches.
I know.
Only one of his staffers went to him from Notre Dame and LSU. He only brought like 2 players. Like, I don't think he's universly liked. Like, I just think he rubs you the wrong way. And I think down there, you want somebody who's very welcoming, you talk the language, talk.
You want like an Ed Orgeron or a Les Miles, like one of those 2 guys.
Yes. Yeah, you want somebody like that. He didn't have it. He was not very warm and fuzzy, and he just never fit. So, that best teammate he had was Ed Orgeron guy. So, he just, I wanted to ask you a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
I know this more, but like, would you take him at Penn State?
It's a tough one. I've seen him. Bill O'Brien, a Boston guy, worked there. I would. I think Northeast guy. Boston guy, and Bill O'Brien kind of got a little bit of the same personality, very fiery, tough, hard nosed. I think he would. I would take him. I would, even though he's had trouble in big games. I would take Brian Kelly at Penn State because I saw the success he had at Notre Dame, and I think he'll be able to recruit. And he's a Northeastern guy. I would take him at Penn State. Now Matt Rule would be my first choice. He probably would be my second choice after Matt Rule right now.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Yeah, I think he'd do pretty well. He's 64. I don't know if he's going to continue coaching, but I wouldn't be shocked Penn State goes after him. But I know we can go back to LSU. I've been meaning to ask you that question for a couple of weeks now.
Yeah.
Because I thought we're going back to killing LSU. I thought like even if he stayed on and he didn't get fired, I thought he probably would have looked elsewhere just to start reset the clock for himself too.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So we'll talk about what's next for Brian Kelly a little bit later. But what do you think's next for LSU? Do you think it's Lane? Do you think them in Florida are going to be battling for Lane Kiffin? Do you think that's what's going to be? Because it feels like them both these schools making these moves in the middle of the season really feels like they both really want Lane Kiffin.
Yeah, it seems like it, and I think it's very possible. Now the thing with Scott Woodward, the AD, I don't even know if he's going to make this hire. Because they're looking for they have an interim president right now, so that's why I don't know if you saw, but the governor of Louisiana got involved in the.
I heard. Yeah.
So I guess that's why because they don't have a president right now. So I don't know who's going to make this hire because Scott Woodward. Don't forget he was the A&M AD when they hired Jimbo Fisher. Now he just hired Brian Kelly, two of the biggest buyouts we've seen. So does LSU trust him? And he's probably going to have to fire his basketball coach, Matt McMahon, in the February or March, whenever. So if I'm Woodward, I would, and I know because LSU Tulane have a huge rivalry, and I know like LSU's like little brother or LSU's big brother Tulane. I'd hire John Summerall. That guy can coach football, and I think he's done a really good job at Tulane. That'd be not my number one, but if Woodward's making the decision, he's gonna go big game hunting, and I think Lane's the flavor of the month right now. Do I love him? No, but I could see it working at LSU. He's about to make a lot of money. Will Smith wants to pay up for him, but I think I think Lane's gonna Lane's gonna use this in the media too to get his money.
Yeah.
So I know there's thought like they're gonna try to get Marcus Freeman. I think Marcus Freeman's only leaving for the NFL or Ohio State. I don't think he's leaving for any other job, so I think that's out of the question. So I think Lane Kiffin's probably the one. But if I'm Woodward, I'm hiring, I'd probably go more of like a John Summerall or like Jeff Brom from Louisville. I'd probably go more of that route.
So you don't go with the big hire, you go with the more the under the radar hire there.
Yes, because these last two big game hunting things have not worked out for you. So I would go a little bit under the radar. I know that might not get you LSU fans maybe totally excited, but I think he's just such a great ball coach that he'd work out there. Kentucky probably should have hired him like 3 years ago, because he's a Kentucky guy. He worked in he's been assistant coach at the SEC. He played at Kentucky. He knows the SEC. I think he'd be excellent down there.
Wow. So yeah. So what's next for Brian Kelly now? What's next? Is Penn State? What's next for him? Penn State would probably be his best shot to get another head coaching job. Because definitely not in the SEC. Penn State would definitely be his best shot.
Yeah, Penn State, I think, is very possible. He is 64, so I don't know. He just got $50 million. He might just call it quits and be done. I'm not sure. So I wouldn't be shocked at that. I think Penn State, I don't think he'd go to a group of 5 job at this point. So Penn State might be his best one. BC, I don't think he'd go to because Ball. I don't.
Do you think they're going to move on from O'Brien at BC with the year they're having?
It's getting bad. I don't know how bad they want to get rid of him. I don't know. I don't know how much BC cares. That's the thing. Yeah. But if they go 1-11, they might have to pull the plug. Even though I think Bill O'Brien's maybe the best you're going to do for a coach because I know Kelly's from BC, but I don't know why you want to go to BC. Yeah, I think it's going to only hurt your legacy more.
Penn State will probably be definitely his best chance.
Yeah. I think I'm with you. I think it'd be Penn State. That might, I have a stat on Matt Rule, which may make you a little bit, taken back, maybe a little bit less, wanting him afterwards. So, because I get it with Rule. He's got the ties there, but, I don't know if Nebraska would really miss him. I think, if he left to go Penn State.
I like Matt Rule though. I do like Matt Rule. I think he turned 2 programs around. You can't deny that. He turned Temple around. He turned Baylor around. He hasn't turned Nebraska around yet, but he turned Temple and Baylor around. He
did. No, he has. He has. With him, this kind of it's like problem with him is he hasn't won. He hasn't beaten teams in the top 25.
Yeah.
He's been very shaky in that category. That's the only thing. That's because why would you get rid of James Franco? You can't win a top 5 or top 10. And then you go out and get a guy with Matt Rule. Again, he'd be at Penn State.
Yeah, so, that's my argument with Matt Rule. Matt Rule would be at Penn State, where this would be the best program he'd coach at. Because Nebraska, I'm sorry, that is not the program, even close to the program it was when Tom Osborne was there. It's not that way anymore. It's not that way. Nebraska was a very middling program when he took that program over.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. So, he's done a good job of getting things going in the right direction now. But, now Nebraska's got to kind of take that next step forward. Big game this week against USC. That's, 2 head coaches have not, done, Lincoln Riley's really struggled away from home at USC. So, kind of big something's got to give in that one. But, so wouldn't be shocked if Kelly, to get back on this, I wouldn't be shocked if Kelly ends up at Penn State. I think it'd be a pretty good hire. I think he fits more the Northeast, that type of area.
He does. He definitely does. So, we'll see what happens with LSU. We'll see what happens with Brian Kelly. But we got to get to the games this week, and we're starting in the SEC. And this is the definition of an elimination game. You got 2 6-2 teams going at it in Knoxville. You got Oklahoma. You got Tennessee. Mateer going up against Joey Aguilar. And I think this is a close, competitive game. But at the end of the day, I'm going to go with the home team here. I'm going to go with the home team in Rocky Top. I got Tennessee 28-24 over Oklahoma. I think it's close and competitive, but I think Aguilar leads that game-winning drive. And I got the Vols winning this one. I got the Vols. I got Tennessee winning this, going to 7-2. I got the Vols here. 28-24. But Justin, can Oklahoma bounce back from what happened last week and keep their college football playoff hopes alive?
No, I'm with you with the Vols. I got them 27-24. Something's got to give in this one. Oklahoma, since they've entered the SEC, have not scored more than 27 points in any of their SEC games, and Tennessee's allowed 31 points in all their conference games this year.
They only even allowed 31 last.
Something's got to give here. What? Yeah. Tennessee gave 31 to Kentucky, which is, I think we lost Steve here I think we lost Steve here. So going back, so because I think he was asking there, Kentucky did end up scoring 31 last week against Tennessee's defense. Yeah, I think you're back. We kind of lost you there for a second.
I'm back.
Yeah. So I just think in this one, I think kneeling at night, I think it's a different atmosphere. And the thing about Mateer, and you kind of saw it last week, like he doesn't read the field very well. Like he misses a lot of throws that he should make. And you saw in like that fourth quarter, he should have hit some of the underneath routes, and he's trying to go for the big chunk plays, and they're just not there. And so I don't. You got to take away his legs. I feel like if you make him a pocket passer, you're in good shape. In Tennessee's offensive analyst, Seth Luttrell was the OC last year at Oklahoma. So he's seen the Brent Venables offense every day last year in practice. So I think he's got a pretty good, I think he's going to help game plan this week. And my one worry about the Vols is Joey Aguilar is not very good under pressure. Oklahoma's defensive line, I think, is going to get pressure on Tennessee's offensive line. If Oklahoma's defense can force like 2 to 3 turnovers, I think Oklahoma wins this football game. But I think he plays a clean enough game, and I think Tennessee's defense does enough, even though I don't trust them, to win this football game. The revenge spot for Tennessee. And Josh Heupel, too, a lot of bad blood. Because Oklahoma is alma mater. A lot of bad blood between him and the school. So
he
wants this one badly.
Oh, wow. There's bad blood. They won a national title there. There's bad blood?
Yeah, I think he wanted the head coach job a couple of years ago.
They gave it to Venables.
Back to. Yeah. I think, or even before that. Actually, I think I totally forget what it was. Because there was a storyline going to last year's game because it was his first time going back to Oklahoma. But I do remember this bad blood. I'd have to look it up. But I there were some comments he made last year that kind of was not happy with Oklahoma.
Oh, really? Wow. That's interesting. That's very, very interesting. He wasn't happy with Oklahoma. That's very, very interesting there.
Yeah. I think Steve's dealing with some technical difficulties right now, so we'll move on to the next game here with the. Okay, you're back. Sorry,
I'm back.
You were cutting it out again.
Okay, yeah. So that was their last national title. So yeah, I mean that's weird that there's bad blood there.
Yeah, there is. I have to look it up, but I do remember last year. Yeah, some comments. So it's not great. But I think it's something about wanting a job there. Didn't give it to him. I thought it was something along that realm, but yeah, it's not great. So yeah, so I know last year they're disappointed to go in there and Oklahoma kind of kicked them around, but so I know this year it's a big revenge spot for them to get this one.
Yeah, it should be. It definitely should be. We got another matchup in the SEC between Texas and Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt top 10. Texas number 20. Texas. I think March is still in concussion protocol, but for this game, I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a close competitive game. But if Arch plays, I think Texas wins this. I think Texas wins this 24-21. I like Vandy, but I'm not. I think they're a good team this year, but I'm not totally sold on them to go to Austin and win a road game. So I'm going Texas 24-21.
Yeah, I'm going Texas 23-20. Arch is still in percussion protocol. I'm not sure if he's gonna give it a go or not. I was kind of disappointed with Vandy last week. I was disappointed with Texas too. They should have. I wish they lost that game because I don't want Texas in the playoffs. It's going to be some 20-14 game. It's going to be ugly if they make the playoffs. So I'm rooting for them to be eliminated. But
Wow.
I thought, yeah. I did not like Vandy's offensive line last week. They did not. Missouri got a lot of pressure on them, and Texas defensive line is even better than Missouri's defensive line. So I think Texas is going to get a lot of pressure on Diego Pavia. Their schedule coming up for Vandy is not that difficult the next couple of weeks. So like, I would not be shocked if like you see Diego Pavia have like 15 to 20 carries in this game, and they just leave it all on the line with him. But I just, I think so. I think Texas defensive line makes an impact, and I think Vandy defensively, Texas can't run the football. So I don't know how much success they're going to have, but their backup Caldwell, he made that one play against Florida when Arch got his helmet taken off. His helmet came off. He had to come in, and I thought Caldwell, the one ball he threw was pretty good. I haven't seen enough of him to really give a great description. I haven't watched like when he's played in mop-up duty. So, but even if he goes, I think Texas at home finds a way to win the football game. But I am rooting for Vandy. I hate betting against Diego Pavia, but I just think Texas. I just think up front Texas is a better team.
All right, we got a matchup. We thought we'd be like leading with this game, talking about this game a ton. We thought we'd be like, spending like 5 to 10 minutes on this game, but with the way the way things have gone at Penn State the last 4 weeks, we definitely won't be because it has been an absolute disaster. They've lost 4 in a row. They fired obviously James Franklin a couple of weeks ago. They're coming in with Ethan Gruntmeyer instead of Drew Aller. Whatever has gone wrong for Penn State whatever could go wrong for Penn State has, and for Ohio State, they've just continued their momentum. They're undefeated, number one in the country since winning the national title. So in Columbus on Saturday, I think Penn State might stay in it early coming off the bye week, but in the second half, Ohio State's going to pull away here. They're going to be able to run the ball with Jackson Donaldson. Jeremiah Smith's going to have a big game. Julian Sain's going to have a big game. Patricia's defense is going to force a couple turnovers. I got OSU big here. I got them covering. I got OSU 31-10, and I assume you got the same, Justin.
I got the Buckeyes 24-6. Now, Penn State's defensive line is the best test that Ohio's faced since Texas. And Ohio State only put up 14 points that game. So if Penn State's defensive line can keep them in it and just slow down Julian Saint just enough, I could see Penn State kind of keeping this thing close. Now, the thing is, Ohio State's only given up 41 points all year. I don't know how Penn State's going to score. I'd be surprised if Penn State's offense musters more than 10 points in this game.
Yeah.
And, coming off a bye for Penn State, both teams are coming off bye, but like, where's Penn State fight at? Even the coaching staff's got to get like their resumes together because they're all going to be out of the job.
Oh yeah, there's no way. There's no way Terry Smith even. I don't even think he gets considered for the head coach. I don't even think he gets an interview. The way they lost to Iowa a couple of weeks ago, I don't think he's even getting an interview. And there's a good chance they'll be 3-6. After the Indiana game in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. I think Iowa's pretty good though. I think I know it's Iowa, but I've been impressed with them the last couple of weeks. Don't be, they got to work and come in the house in a couple of weeks. So we're gonna better be careful. But I think Terry Smith's gonna have those guys fired up, ready to go. Yeah. I don't know how much fight. Maybe they play well for half and the thing's close, but I could see Ohio State pulling away in the second half here. But I'm interested to see how Ohio State's offensive line looks against Penn State's defensive line because Texas gave them some problems, and they really haven't faced anything close to it, since week 1.
Yeah, you're right. With Dennis Sutton and Zane Duran, yeah, they could keep him in it, but I just think Penn State's had trouble stopping the run. I think they're going to have trouble stopping the run, and their offense isn't going to be able to do anything. That's the thing with Ethan Gruntmeyer. They're not going to be able to do anything against this Ohio State defense because the Ohio State defense has been the best in the country this year under Matt Patricia, who's done a really good job. Keep him on the defensive side of the ball. Don't put him on the offensive side of the ball. You learned that as a Patriots fan.
Oh, yes, we definitely did. Yes, I think Ryan Day's smart enough to keep on the offensive side of the ball or defensive side of the ball. So, yeah, Patricia's done an unbelievable job with that defense, and they got some talent there. And but Ohio State's always going to have it. They got the pass rushers. Caleb Downs the best defensive player in the sport. So, Ohio State's loaded. And look, them and Indiana is on a collision course to play in the Big Ten championship game.
Yeah, imagine number 1, number 2 in the Big Ten title game.
That might be.
That could be for the number 1 seed.
I think it will be.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen Indiana's next their last 5 opponents here. I'll tell you the
Penn
conference
State's one
records
of them. I know.
those 5 coming up.
Yeah. What is it?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's 1-17.
Wow.
Indiana, the last 5 teams they play in Big Ten. Their Big Ten record. So
wow.
Yeah. So don't think they're going to challenge much between now and December.
No, it doesn't look like it. It does not look like it. And we'll get to them a little later in the show. We'll move on to a game in the ACC between Miami and SMU. SMU, who got to the college football playoff last year, has struggled this year. Miami lost Carson Beck had a terrible game against Louisville, trying to bounce back from that. And I think this is a close, competitive game. But at the end of the day, I'm going with Carson Beck bouncing back and Miami winning this one 31-20 over SMU. But Justin, can SMU hand Miami their second loss of the year?
No, I got the Canes as well in this one, 30-24. SMU's not as good as last year. They lost their first ACC game though last week. In the regular season, so they were 11-1. I think SMU's got one of the worst secondaries in the country, and I think Carson Beck's going to play pretty well. I don't think SMU's going to get a ton of pressure either on him up front, and that's where Carson Beck usually plays pretty good football. SMU should have lost by more last week. Wake Forest fumbled inside their 10-yard line twice, so they were lucky that thing ended as a 1-point game. Look, I think SMU's got the offense to pull up an upset, but I worry about Jennings in this one where Miami, I think, is going to get some pressure on him, and that's where Jennings is prone to making a mistake. So I think Miami wins this game by 2 scores, but wouldn't be shocked if Rhett Lashley pulls something out of the hat there and they keep this thing close to even pull them off. But I think Miami finds a way to win this football game. They got to get off to a quick start. They were tied at 7 against Stanford last week at the half, so then they kind of put it on cruise control, but slow start last week for Miami. Maybe that could hurt them this week.
Yeah, I forgot they played Stanford last week. So, yeah. And I know they wouldn't be losing 2 in a row. It'd be 2 out of 3 if they lose this week. Got the world's largest. You got the rivalry game between Florida and Georgia, the world's largest outdoor cocktail party in Jacksonville. I think this is a game where it's close early, but I think Georgia pulls away. I got Georgia here 27-13, but can DJ Lagway and the Gators pull the big upset in their first game without Billy Napier?
I think this game is very close. I almost did give Florida the W here, but I am going with Georgia 27-23. Last time this game's been played in Jacksonville the next couple of years. Next year it's in Atlanta. The year after that it's in Tampa because I guess they're renovating the stadium. So last time they'll be here for the next couple of years. But DJ Lagway has looked a lot better coming off byes. Last year he had a bye coming in this game. He played pretty well until he got knocked out with an injury. This year, the first game off a bye against Texas looked pretty good. Now coming off a bye again with a new OC who Russ Callaway was at Sanford, who I really liked when he was at Sanford. I think he's a really terrific play caller. Sanford misses them now. They're one of the worst teams at the FCS right now. Florida, I don't think is going to be able to run the football against Georgia. But I think they can be able to throw it. And I think he's going to be a better play caller than Billy Napier was. So I think Lagway played pretty well in this one. But I think Gunnar Stockton, though, I think for him, I think he's got a pretty good game. I think they spread it around. But I'm interested to see what the fight and how inspired Florida is here. Can you try to ruin Georgia's in this one? I think it's close, but I do think Georgia finds a way to win this game.
Already Big Ten matchup in College Park as Indiana takes on Maryland. I think Fernando Mendoza continues his Heisman campaign as a huge game, throws 4 or 5 touchdowns. And I think Kirk Cignetti's team continues to dominate. I got Indiana here 35-10 over Maryland. Justin, I assume you got Cignetti's team continuing to dominate.
Yeah, I got them 30-10 as well. This team takes no prisoners. They just put their foot on the throttle and they don't let up. They're going to kill these next couple opponents the next few weeks here. Maryland always gets off to a good start, and then by the time conference plays rolled around, they kind of just they're not very good. It's a young team, and I think Malik Washington maybe makes a couple plays for the Terrapins, but I don't think it's enough. And I think Mendoza hit some big plays in this one. I think that RPO offense of theirs, is clicking. It's a Maryland defense. I think they blow them out. I think they win big 38-10.
All right, we got Virginia and going to Cal this week. Virginia escaping against Bill Belichick in North Carolina, barely escaping against Belichick in North Carolina. Was Belichick at BC this week? Where's he this week?
No, that's Syracuse.
Syracuse.
I think they win.
I
think they win it.
They really win. They could beat Fred Brown there. Yeah, but this game,
the defense finally got better.
Yeah.
Defense. Even though during the bye he went to Nantucket with the girlfriend instead of grinding film. So Bill's distracted.
Unreal. He's totally distracted. I think he'll be gone at the end of the year. But we'll get to that story when it comes up. But going back to this Virginia game against Cal, I'm going Cal here. I think Cal wins it by a field goal.
I think we may have lost Steve here. I think he was about to pick Cal here to win this, and I'm with him. I think Cal does win this game 20-23. All right, you're back. You broke up again. I heard you say you took Cal.
I took Cal 27-24. Yep.
Okay, I'm with you with Cal 20-23. I think Virginia is very fraudulent. They've won 3 games already in overtime. Because you got 4 ranked teams this week in the AC on the road. I think 2 of them lose. This is one of them. I'll get to my other one later on. Justin Wilcox in that defense was awful last week in Virginia Tech. He's a really good defensive-minded head coach. I think he gets them the rebound this week. I think they play better. I think they force Chandler Morris to make a couple of interceptions. I think JKS, the quarterback for Cal, I think he plays pretty well. And I'm going to take Virginia. They can't keep, they keep luck boxing their way to victories. I think this week it comes back and back-to-back road games now out west. I think Cal gets a win at home.
All right, you got Louisville against Virginia Tech this week. I think this is a game where Louisville wins. I think they win it by 2 scores. I got Louisville winning it by 2 scores. Justin, we've got a ranked ACC team on the road. Is this another one where you're going with an upset?
No, I got the cards in this one, 31-17. The Virginia Tech, that place was still electric last week for Enter Sandman, but by halftime that place emptied out. I just think Virginia Tech, Drones has been all right. But I think Louisville, for them, defensively, it's been kind of slow starts. They've allowed 44. They're 150 points in the first quarter this year. So I think they get off to a faster start this week. I think Miller Moss plays pretty well. I think they spread it around. And I think this Virginia Tech team's fighting. They haven't quit. But I do think Cardinals win by a couple scores. I think this is the job for Virginia Tech where James Franklin ends up. That's my prediction. I think James Franklin's a VT head coach next year, which I think would be a great hire for him.
Yep, and we got Brendan Velt, I don't know his last name. Brendan, commenting, says, I don't know what was in my recommendation, but keep it up. Yeah, keep listening, man. Keep listening, man. We definitely appreciate you listening. Appreciate you listening to the show. So definitely appreciate you listening there. So we'll see. I feel like that upset's coming. And it's to a team that could be undefeated. So that upset could be coming in the ACC. But we'll go to the Big 12 here. We got Texas Tech and Kansas State. And Texas Tech lost to Arizona State a couple weeks ago. And I think they bounced back from that. I think they win here. 27-20 over Kansas State.
Yeah, I got the Red Raiders as well here, 31-20. Morin should be back this week. I know Will Hammond, their backup, got hurt last week, and he's done with the year with 20 ACL. And it was a third string. But I guess Morin did dress at halftime, and he was going to play if they needed an emergency quarterback. So I assume he's healthy enough, and he's going to play in this one. You got to give Kansas State credit. Like, after that game over in Ireland, they came back. They just barely beat North Dakota, and they lose Army. And they're 1-3 after loss to Arizona. They could have gone on the mat and just kind of quit on the year. But they've shown a lot of fight the last couple of weeks. They blow out Kansas in the rivalry game last week. Avery Johnson's played some really good football. But I think this week, Texas Tech, I think up front, I think it's a difference in this one. I think they slow down Kansas State's rushing attack. I think Texas Tech, plays better this week. And I think Texas Tech plays well. They take care of business on the road.
All right, SEC matchup in Oxford, South Carolina, and Ole Miss. And I think, Ole Miss wins this by 2 scores. I got Ole Miss here, 31-17 over South Carolina. But Justin, you saw last week, Lenore Sellers in South Carolina almost upset Bama. Could they pull off the major upset against Ole Miss?
Yeah, it'd be a huge one, but I'm with you with the Rebels, 31-16. I think South Carolina pulled out all the stops last week to try to win that game. I don't know how much they got left in the tank. Ole Miss, though, coming off a big win on the road, maybe a little bit of a letdown. Lane's distracted with the jobs right now. But I think for South Carolina, the only chance they got to win this football game is they got to force a couple turnovers. Shane Beamer, The special teams too is always important to them. They got to kind of win those battles. But I think Trinidad Chambliss plays pretty well. And unfortunately, too, like I've talked about it pretty much. I think every time we talk South Carolina this year, Lenore Sella just hasn't gotten much better. It's unfortunate because he's got all the talent in the world, and I don't know if it's been Shula with the new OC. I know they don't, outside of Harbor, they don't have a ton of great weapons for him, but I think he kind of struggles even against a mediocre Ole Miss defense. I think Ole Miss at home on a Saturday night wins by a couple scores.
All righty, here's this matchup in the ACC between Haynes King and undefeated Georgia Tech taking on NC State, and I think Georgia Tech wins this by 2 scores. I think they win at 27-17. But you mentioned that we had four ranked ACC teams on the road. We talked about the Miami game; they're a ranked team. We talked about the Virginia game. We talked about the Louisville game. And by process of elimination, you think one's going to get upset, and I feel like this is the one.
Yeah, this is the one. I'm gonna take NC State at home.
Wow, you're going NC State to give Georgia Tech their first loss. Wow. Explain why.
Yeah. In this one, I do worry a little bit. NC State's defense is not as good as usual under Dave Doran. I know they're banged up, but I think on a Saturday night, Dave Doran's kind of been talking. I think Dave Doran, I think the writing's on the wall, even though I don't think they should. It sounds like they're going to fire him at the end of the year. I think they get an expired kind of effort for him this week. He's done a great job there. And Georgia Tech plays in a lot of close games. And I think in this one on a Saturday night down in Raleigh, where it's a tough place to play, I think CJ Bailey kind of puts up a pretty good game. I know they lost their top tight end, the UConn transfer, Justin Jolly. He's been pretty good. But I think Hollywood Smothers, who's averaging almost 70 yards a carry, I do think they have some success on the ground against the Yellow Jackets in this one. And I'm gonna say NC State goes down. It's the ACC. It's never predictable in this conference. So I think we get a couple upsets, and I think NC State's one of them that they get off the mat this week. They win a big one at home.
Yeah, you're sure right about that. We're going to get some upsets. This might be it, but I still think Haynes King, because I think the Georgia Tech's a little bit different with the quarterback play. I think Haynes King and with the coach, with Brett Key. So I think Haynes King and Georgia Tech get it done. Now we got a matchup in the Big Ten between USC and Nebraska. I think it's a close competitive game, but I think Jaden Maeva pulls it off. I think USC keeps their college football playoff hopes alive. I think they beat Nebraska, and I got them winning this game 27-24 over Nebraska. But Justin, can Matt Rule pretty much end USC season?
I got the Trojans 20-24. I have a hard time trusting either of these two teams, but I'm going to take the team that's better up front. USC on the road, since Lincoln Riley's been the head coach here, they're 1-9 against the spread on the road, and they're 1-7 just straight up away from the West Coast time zone, or the Western time zone, since Lincoln Riley's been head coach. They have not played well once they've left the Western time zone. Nebraska, if you can believe it, has lost 28 straight games AP top 25 teams. 28 for this once proud program. I don't trust either of these teams. I'm going to take Jaden Maeva to play well enough. Dylan Raiola, he's got to get rid of the football so quickly because their offensive line's not very good. And I think USC's defensive line plays pretty well. USC sounds like they're going to get healthier in the offensive line this week. So I think that's a positive for them. I'm going to take Jaden Maeva and Lincoln Riley to go on the road to keep their hopes alive here. But I don't love it, but I just can't trust Nebraska because these are games Nebraska has lost for the past decade now. So until they get over the hump, I can't take them, even though they're at home.
All righty, last game, Cincinnati and Utah. I think this is where game day is going to be.
Yeah, game day is going there. Yep.
Salt Lake City. And I think Kyle Whittingham's club and their bounce-back season continues to play well. I got Utah here 24-13 over Cincinnati. But, Justin, can Cincinnati get to 8-1?
I got the Utes in this one 27-23. Devin Dampier did not play last week. Whittingham's not going to tell you anything. Yeah. He wasn't even on the injury report.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know if he got fined again or not. He did a couple weeks ago with that Texas Tech one. Their starter was Bird Ficklin. The backup is Zach Wilson, or the third string, Zach Wilson's younger brother, Isaac. I don't know if you saw the stats for that Utah-Colorado game in the first half. It was like 361. Colorado had minus 41 yards on the ground last week. They just dominated Colorado. They look really good. I think the key for Cincinnati to pull off this upset is Brandon Sorsby with his legs, because Utah plays a ton of man coverage. So if you get a couple of those corners backs turned, Sorsby's got the grass to run. I think he's got to take advantage of that. But I do think whoever plays quarterback for Utah does enough in this one. And on Saturday night in Salt Lake, that's such a great environment. I think that's going to be the difference. And I think, and I think for Cincinnati too, to pull off the upset, you got to stay ahead of the change in this one too. Don't fall behind at 3-9 and let kind of Utah's pass rush tee off. Because Cincinnati hasn't faced a ton of great teams up front in the line of scrimmage. So I'm interested to see how Utah, who's one of the better ones in the Big 12, how they fare in that category as well.
Yeah, we'll see what happens Saturday night in Salt Lake. Should be an interesting game between Cincinnati and Utah. But that is going to wrap up this edition of Sports Talk with R&J. For Justin and Afro, I'm Steve Risser. We will be back next week talking about the trade deadline in the NFL, week 10 of the NFL, the first college football rankings, college football playoff rankings, and week 11 of college football. Have a great weekend, everyone.